are going to look at relations, functions, and graphs. Let's jump right into it. So we have here the function f of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. And x is between -2 and 4. So if you look at the table here, you see consecutive numbers. The smallest number is -2, and the largest number is -4. So that's what this means. So we have to copy and complete the table. So the blank spaces, we want to try to find out what the f of that value, the x value is, or sometimes you can say y. So let's jump right into it. So we're going to deal with -1 first. When x equals -1, f of -1 equals, so we're focusing on this function here and we're replacing x with -1. F of -1 is -1 squared minus 2 by -1 minus 3. Right? So you can work out this using a calculator, or you can work it out mentally, right? And you get 0. So part 1 tells us copy and complete the table. So that's what we do in one time. When x is equal to 1. All right, so when x equals to 1, let's see what f of 1 is. F of 1 is equal to, all right, run out of room here. F of 1 is equal to, we have 1 minus 2 minus 3, and that is equal to -4. So the answer here is -4. When x equals 3, right? F of 3 is equal to 3 squared. We follow in this function here. 3 squared minus 2 by 3 minus 3. So that is 9 minus 6 minus 3, and that is equal to 0. All right. So remember, this type of question, you can use a calculator. It's not a multiple choice question. So you can either use a calculator or you work it out mentally. All right, so that's the copy and complete the table part. Now we are going into the graph part. So using a scale of 2 cm to represent 1 unit on the x-axis and 1 centimeter to represent 1 unit on the y-axis, you have to draw the graph. Right now, I have y here, right? Y and f of x is like saying the same thing, but since the question gave us f of x, I will be consistent and I will change this to f of x, right? Right. So you have to draw that graph. F of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. So let's check out our grid. So this is our grid here. So we have to right, draw your axes. Using a ruler. So here is a positive y-axis, negative y-axis, negative x-axis, and here's a positive x-axis. Let's put x-axis. And we have our 0 right here. All right, so they said using 2 cm to represent 1 unit on the x. So every two of this box represent 1. So we have 1 box, we have a next box. So this will be 1. So we have 1, 2, All right, so we have 1 to 5 here. Let me make it have a little 6 here. Let me just move this x, make it look like 5x. All right. And on the negative side, we're doing the same thing. So we have 1, 2, this will be negative 1, 1, 2, this will be negative 2, so on. So we have negative 1, negative 2, right, negative 5, so on. So we did the x. Now, this is important. Look at your lowest x value, make sure it's on the graph. So we have negative 2 as the lowest x value, and we have 4 as the highest x value. So when you look at the graph here, I have negative 2, right? And I have 4. So I got to go with the x. So 1 cm to represent 1 unit on the y-axis. So let's deal with that. So each box, right? So this is the box here. This represents 1. So this is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. So on, right? And we do the same for the negative side. This here represents 1 box. So this is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, so on, right? So let's deal with that one time. We have negative 1, negative 2. Right, same thing. Look at your f of x, and the highest number is 5. Lowest number is negative 4. So when I look at my graph, the highest number is 5. I have that. The lowest number is negative 4. That there too. So I know I'm good. So we have to plot the points now. So we have negative 2, 5. So when you're plotting points, x comes first, y comes second. So I'm looking for negative 2 on the x, and then I'm either going up or down to get 5. Well, this is plus 5, so you're going up. Let me show you. So negative 2, 5. So negative 2 on the x, and then we're going up until we reach 5. We're not drawing any arrows or anything. All right, so negative 2, 5, negative 2 on the x. We're going up on this line until we reach 5. All right, let me change the color a little bit there. And you put a little circle. Nice. Next one is negative 1, 0. Negative 1, 0. That's right here. Right? So negative 1, you reach negative 1, you get on the x-axis. 0, you can't go up or down to 0. 0 is on the x-axis itself. So you don't move, you just keep the point right there. You do not shift it across. Don't do that. Just keep the point negative 1, 0. It's right here. Nice. Next one. 0, negative 3. So you look for 0, x, and then we go down to negative 3. Next one is 1, negative 4. So you're looking for 1, and you're going down to negative 4. Right, next one is 2, negative 3. You look for 2, going down to negative 3. You're supposed to have the hang of it so far. By now. 3, 0. So you're looking for 3, and you're not going up or down. 0 is on it. So 3, 0 is right there. Right, put a circle so you could easily identify your point. 4, 5. So 4, and we're going up to 5. That's right here. All right. So what we do after, we draw a smooth curve. Right, we draw a smooth curve. Let me see how my skills working out. I like how that look there. Not supposed to use a ruler. It's supposed to be drawn freehand. All right, and you label your graph, this graph. All right, so that's this graph right here. Continuing. They said part B, using the graph, solve the equation x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals to 0. What this is telling you or asking you is when the graph, which is the curve, when the curve cut the x-axis, what is the values? What are the x values? Because this is, they can say solve f of x equals 0. That's another way of saying asking a question. So it just simply means if this is your graph, where the graph cuts in the x-axis, what is the x-axis? So it'll be here and here, right? Also, f of x is like saying y equals 0. So if this question is telling you when y is equal to 0, what are the x values? You can look at your table. You're supposed to look at your graph, but you can look at your table. F of x is 0 or y equals 0 here and here. So x is equal to -1 and x is equal to 3. Remember, if I say f of x or I say y, it means the same thing. F of x equals y, right? So when y is equal to 0, y is equal to 0 here and here. So therefore the x values is this and that. But you have to use your graph. So when you're using your graph, right, this point here is -1, 0, x, y. We clearly see that the y is 0 here. And this point here is 3, 0, x, y. Clearly we see the y is 0 here. So basically the x values are -1 and 3, right? So that's my answer here. So x equals to -1, x equals to 3. Now I like to put x1, x2. You won't get it wrong, but if I say x equals to -1 and x equals to 3, what x really equal to? All right, so I like to distinguish the x1 is equal to -1 and x2 is equal to 3. Next one, using the same graph, plot the graph y equals 5. All right, so let's deal with that one time. The graph y equals 5 is a straight line across 5, horizontally across 5. This is a graph y is equal to 5. And let's write the y a little better than that. Y is equal to 5. This is the graph y equals to 5. A horizontal graph going straight across. All right, because this point here is -2, 5. Remember x, y. This point here is -1, 5. X, y. All the y values will be 5 on that line. This point here is 1, 5. This point here is 2, 5. This point here is 3, 5. So x comes first, y comes second. All the y values is 5. So that is why that line is equal to y is equal to 5. And here they ask, hence determine the values of x for x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 5. What they're trying to say is this here, f of x represents a curve. This here represents a straight line, y equals 5. So what they're asking is when the curve and the line meet, what are the x values? All right, that's all they're asking. So when you look at this, the curve and there's the line where it meets here and here. So what are the x values? This and that. Those are the x values. All right, so let me just write it better there. So we have the next circle. Right, so we have x3 equals -2. I just, because I use x1, x2, I use an x3 here. And we have x4 x4 is equal to 4. So for this question here, x3 is equal to -2 and x4 is equal to 4. All right, let me make sure. All right, so that's it for relations, functions, and graphs.